Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise to thank you for your support of House Resolution 768, which designates August 2012 as Spinal Muscular Atrophy Awareness Month in Pennsylvania. SMA, as it is more commonly known, is a severe neurological disorder which generally manifests itself very early in life, namely in toddler and infant years. It's a very devastating diagnosis for a family and for the toddler or for the infant. It starts with a loss of the nerves in the spinal cord, which begins to impact the child's ability to walk, stand, and sit. As the disease progresses, it affects the ability to eat, breathe, and swallow, so the very fundamental functions of life. All along, though, many SMA childs and infants, their intellectual capacity is not affected, and it's often been noted they are very bright and sociable, all the while suffering these very difficult physical ailments. The incidence of SMA is quite widespread in the United States. 2 newborn children are affected every day in the United States, which is approximately 1 in 6,000 live births. Tragically, there is no cure for SMA. There's a continuum of categories of types of MSA, the most serious being SMA type 1, for which the life expectancy of the toddler is only 1 to 2 years. But again, there is no cure. I first learned about SMA and the effect it has on a family from some of my constituents who were just introduced a little while ago by the Speaker. They are more than constituents, though. They are family, friends, and neighbors. And as somebody who saw what they endured going through an SMA diagnosis with their family, I became very interested in this issue. Keith and Hillary Schmid, and Hillary was introduced earlier, welcomed into the world Zane and Avery back on February 19th, 2009. These were their first children. Tears of joy soon gave way to tears of sadness as Zane was diagnosed with SMA type 1. And over the course of 4 months, her condition deteriorated, and she suffered through many of the physical ailments that were described earlier here. And she unfortunately did pass away on June 18, 2009. Now, what's really inspired our community and me personally is the way that Hillary and Keith and their extended families have responded to what they went through. They have tried to find ways to channel tragedy into triumph and helplessness into hopefulness. And Hillary and Keith have become very involved with the families of SMA, FMSA, and have become involved in trying to raise money for cures, for treatments, and ultimately to try to find a way to prevent this disease from happening in the first place. Hillary and Keith and their families, I would commend for the way they have tried to show an example for all of Pennsylvania about trying to find ways to find cures for a lot of these very difficult diseases. And they have really set a great example for our community and for Pennsylvania, and have really tried to shine the light on finding a cure for these diseases, because they don't want any other families to suffer what their families have suffered. And I want to commend them for all their work to find treatments and cures for SMA. Also, I would note that on a happier note, blessings come in twos. And with Hillary today are her 6.5-month-old twin boys, Brennan and Braxton, who are here with her in the Harrisburg today. And if I could ask Hillary and Mr. and Mrs. Dunlop if you could stand up again and let us see those twin boys. Thank you to the House again for passing House Resolution 768 so we can declare August 2012 as SMA Awareness Month. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thanks, gentlemen.